If you're watching this video, it means you're probably trying to find out how you can reduce down your Chapter 13 plan payment. And for our clients, I want to go through and kind of give you the process of what that looks like and some things you need to consider before requesting a reduction in your Chapter 13 plan payment. So the first thing you need to find out is, do you actually need a reduction in your plan payment? Now I know you're thinking, yes, I do. The Chapter 13 trustee's office is thinking, of course, everybody thinks they need a reduction in their Chapter 13 plan payment. And so they get a lot of requests to reduce down their plan payments that are not granted because people don't really need them. So how do we find out if you really need it? And I know you're thinking, I feel the pressure. I know I need this, right? I know I need a reduction because I can't make these plan payments. Here's some things that you can do to help show the trustee's office how that is necessary. One, we're going to need to get your last 90 days of pay stubs, right? And then we're going to need to get your an expense budget written out or brought out by you. We can send you what's called a Schedule J, where it's what you filed with the bankruptcy court showing your monthly expenses. You can fill out a new one of those because maybe sometimes your expenses have changed and that's why you can't afford the Chapter 13 plan payments anymore. We need to show that. We need to explain what those new expenses are. So we need your income. We need your expenses. We're probably going to need your last year's filed tax return so we can show what your income has looked like over the past year or so. But you also need to think about, okay, why am I needing to request this reduction in plan payment? Is it a valid, reasonable request? If you're saying I need my plan payment to go down because I want my 4-year-old daughter to be on the all-state cheerleading team that travels around the country and competes nationally, that may be a valid reason for you. You may want to have that happen, but the trustee's probably going to say this 4-year-old in this cheerleading camp is not a necessity at this point in time, and especially not at the expense of the people you owe money to. It's not their problem that your daughter, 4-year-old daughter, wants to go travel around the country to do cheerleading. I'm not suggesting that that's not a good thing for your daughter to do, or that daughter to do, but I'm just saying the courts and the trustee are going to say, not happening. It's not good enough for our purposes to request that down. But if on the other hand, you've lost your job, you've lost income, you are divorced and you are married at the time of filing, well then those are all valid reasons. And there are other reasons of course as well. Your medical expenses have gone up. You now have diabetes or high blood pressure or other things that maybe you have to monitor more closely, or you have special dietary requirements. Those are all things that are valid reasons for potentially requesting a reduction. So first we're saying, get us the documents. Before you ever even get us the documents, so we're thinking, is this a valid, reasonable thing? Can you request this from the court and pass the gut test? Does it make sense? Does it sound reasonable? If so, then we're going to move on to the next step, which is get us your documents, 90 days of pay stubs, an expense section, your last filed tax return. And then once we've got that information from you, we're then going to say, okay, what does that process look like? We're going to file a motion with the court. It's going to take about a month for that to get in front of the judge, okay? And then you also have to realize a couple other things before I end this video. One is, can your plan payment even go down? In other words, if you're already paying 0% to your unsecured creditors, we cannot go below 0%. So even if you have a valid reason why your plan payment should go down, we can't usually request a reduction because we can't go below 0. So it could be the most well-intentioned, well-meaning request for a reduction, but if we don't have room to go down, then we can't go down. Also, look to see, is there a liquidation requirement in your case? Meaning, do you have property that we could not protect? Because if you request a reduction in plan payment and you therefore aren't paying back that what's called liquidation amount, the trustee's going to say you got to sell that property and give it to us. So maybe you got to sell your house and give us some money if you want your plan payment to go down. That's rare, but there are times when people are filing Chapter 13s due to a liquidation. So we got to make sure it passed the gut test. Does it make sense? Is it a reasonable request? Get us the documents that we need. Understand that it's going to take some time from the time we file it to get in front of the judge. And make sure that we can actually have a reduction. That's where talking with us will help you go through that. But is it a 0% plan where we can't go down at all? Or are you paying 20 or 30% so that it does give us some flexibility to request a reduction? Or do you have a liquidation requirement where we can't go down? Those are all things that we will look at for you. But communicate with us, contact us if you think you need to request a reduction in plan payment, and we'll go through this process with you in getting it taken care of. Usually when we file these, we have a very high success rate, but we just want to make sure we're doing it for the right reasons. Hopefully this video has been helpful, giving you kind of an overview of when you can request a reduction and what that process looks like.